This is the Moss Wing Swallow 57. We rode this with Union Atlas, Adidas Tactical ADVs, Union Stratas, and we spent many a day on this trying to, you know, understand, figure it out, and experience what we see in those videos of those guys riding Moss boards. You know, they just...
More difficult to replicate than we thought.
It looks so easy.
In the videos, you see the guys just doing these long radius swooping turns, laying their bodies parallel, which we were nowhere near that level. But we tried.
We were trying in our mind.
Yeah.
It felt that way in our mind. There's still that joy of making turns, even if we're not like the guys in the video.
Yeah.
We're riding living history here, which is so cool. And it's just fun to be on these, and you just kind of have to say when in Rome. And let's talk about the flex here. You know, it's interesting because you can feel so much give in the tail on this flex, and very little give in the middle. And that's how these boards feel. Like if you try to butter off the tail, if you're used to any other board, if you don't just take it so mellow, you're gonna butter right onto your ass.
Yeah, and this tail design has to affect the flex. Not only is it swallow, it's got a serious kick out the back there.
Swallow.
And it's tapered, yeah.
It's a wing
got
swallow.
That kick up, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, look at how far you are in the tail, and this is reference stance. We could actually, I think, put it back a little further. So, like, look at it. I mean, like, I think you're at the end of the effective edge, where these feel like there's just maybe a touch of effective edge before it ends. The on snow feel, it's just really back foot. You really feel that big nose in front of you, that long, big, wide nose in front of you. And you really feel like you're standing on a surfboard. That's how you stand on a surfboard when you're surfing. You drop in and you're on the back foot and you're going like this along the wave. It has kind of a mellow camber profile, which seems like that goes to either a really long nose or maybe a touch of early rise. But it's just a really interesting, unique feel on snow. And the edge hold is pretty good, but you know, I felt a little more from Gentum Stick and Karua.
A lot more edge hold
especially for
on Karua with that camber.
Yeah. Gentum Stick's close. I mean, they're medium hard. I'm sure if you work with the edging, and the more you get to know this board, the more you could just go out on a firm to borderline hard snow day and just rail turns.
Yeah.
But
we were lucky enough to have great conditions for these boards on at least a couple of days. So.
You know, turn initiation, like we said, is quick, but it doesn't like that. It didn't seem like for us, it liked this, like, you know, this kind of turning. It liked this.
And it actually, I thought filming it looked kind of ridiculous. You know, these boards do not look good doing short radius turns. Super fun boards.
And the turning experience on this is so unique. Even though it's more of a back foot weighted board, which is like what a lot of us are used to with a free ride kind of tapered directional board. They're like free ride boards are ironic. Less back foot weight on powder, you know, less rear leg burn, more on groomers.
Yeah.
Because you have to really drive off that back foot to keep that tapered tail from washing. Well, this is kind of like that, only it really likes a really directional stance. It's all here. It feels like you're steering almost from your back foot.
Way more centered to back foot than the carving boards that I've been used to.
Yeah, and
than these guys over here.
Going from these guys like the Karua Dart and, you know, the Gentum Stick, Barracuda High Performance, those are all off the front foot, you know, and the more weight you put on the back foot, the more likely you are to wash. And this is just like all back foot, but it carves, it has a fun feel to it. Once we got this just on reference or even a little narrow than reference and like plus 12, 15, 36 to 40, it really shined. It even felt off at plus 6 and like 27 or something like that.
Yeah, it felt off. The whip was off. If there's one thing we figured out about Moss, it was the stance angles and widths.
Yeah.
And that helped so much.
But then that started making us feel like we were turning the board correctly. And now moving forward, it's going to be even more fun reviewing because we don't have that learning curve. This thing can float in powder if you need it to. I'm pretty sure of that. It's, you know, we've ridden some moss and some thick powder years ago. Jimbo and I set up wrong. Uneven terrain though, they just, these boards just aren't for hammering all day on a Saturday resort.
No way.
These boards are for like going out and good snow, making good turns, carving hard, and having fun. This is a one board quiver for a directional surfy rider, and although I personally preferred the jellyfish, that extra camber off the tail, little more effective edge on the like where your
this thing is way back. I mean,
yeah, it felt too much for me, but I think if you want the most you can get, you'll really like this.
I agree.